So yeah, he looked damn good.
What did you make of the build-up? Like at the press conference when Ian's bringing up the things that Neil said about like, like, oh, when I whip my kids, and Ian's cutting him off saying like, oh, you don't deserve to talk after saying that. What did you make of their build-up that kind of came out of nowhere?
I don't know. That shit happens in fights, man.
Yeah,
You know, you never know what's going to happen, what people are going to say, or what's going to go on. You never know, where their head is leading into these type of fights. And fighting is a crazy fucking business, man. I mean, the stuff that's said. It's like when I come in here after a fight and they're like, oh my God, he said this. That's why I'm always like, I don't give a shit. This is the fight game. People say crazy stuff sometimes, and it just is what it is. And nobody in this room, maybe I don't know if anybody, but pretty much I would think nobody in this room has ever been, in a fight like these guys are in, and what kind of pressure under what you're thinking, and it's a different world, man. It's different than playing a football game or a baseball game or anything else in life.
He obviously called out Wonder Boy and wants a 5-round main event. Wonder Boy has said like, I'll fight the Ingaris of the world. Is that a fight you would be interested in?
Wonder Boy turned the fight down tonight.
There you go. You talked to him right away, like right after.
Listen, we make fights, man. That's what we do.
Going further down, Cheeto got another big win. Sean O'Malley's called his shot. Like he wants Cheeto in December. Is that something that you now have to seriously look at too?
Following up the last question you asked me, we don't talk about fights in the fight.
What do you think Chris Weidman should do after
Retire.
Retire.
I love Chris Weidman. I love him. I love his family, and I think he should retire. We talked to Doc D. Doc D thinks he blew his MCL, ACL. He blew one of the CLs, and guy's just coming back from a gruesome injury, and listen, man, Father Time is not our friend at all, but definitely if you're a professional athlete, it's.
So if he comes up to you and says, "I want one more fight," is that something you say like, "Hey, maybe let's talk about this"?
First of all, depending on the damage to the knee, you're talking another year. So I would say, Chris, I love you. Please retire.
Dana, right here to your right. Given kind of where Ian is right now in his build, do you think it's time that the UFC finally goes back to Dublin at some point with him as a headliner? No,
not yet. One more move, then we go to Dublin.
Gotcha. And kind of sticking with the locations, you had expressed after Weili's last fight that I believe it was her last fight, or maybe it was when Yan Xiaonan won, that you want to go back to China this year. Is that something that we should expect to see Weili in the near future?
Probably.
And then one more from me. We talked to Joe Lozon yesterday at a Q&A. This is the first New England card you guys have held where there's no New Englanders on it. He said that he had hit you guys up a bunch to get on this card, and that he was told his services weren't needed.
It wasn't that his services weren't needed. The card was full at the time that he was asking. We already had the card full.
Gotcha. So, like, you're cool with offering him fights if he wants to fight again?
I would like Joe to retire, too. You know what I mean? It gets to the point. It's like Chris Weidman. We're talking about Chris Weidman a minute ago. Weidman reached the pinnacle of the sport and did it in spectacular fashion, knocking out one of the greatest of all time, right? And what's now? Why? You know what I mean? To come back and feel it one more time. We felt it tonight, and he blew his knee out, and he's going to have to go through crazy surgery again and recover from it. It's just like, wow, you've already done it all. You've accomplished everything that you could hope to accomplish in the UFC. And saying that, so is Joe Lozon. Joe Lozon at one point held like the most fight of the night bonuses or performance bonuses or whatever it was. He's been a part of the Ultimate Fighter. He's done so much in the sport. You get to an age where it's just like, come on, guys.
And last one for me, the tough finale. Sometimes we see guys that lose the tough finale, like that's it for them. They don't have another UFC fight. But Cody Gibson, safe to say that he'll be sticking around?
Yeah, everybody's blowing me up saying give them both a contract. Yeah, he'll be sticking around.
And actually, I lied. I have one more. We didn't hear from you after Corey Sandhagen's win recently. I guess I just want to kind of figure out what you thought of it and kind of where he fits in this picture.
Yeah, listen, he's a stud. He's been apologizing to me nonstop about his performance. He needed elbow surgery, he hurt himself, and I said, kid, every fight can't be the greatest fight you've ever seen. Your performance before that was amazing. You stepped up and you took this fight again on short notice. Stop beating yourself up, man. You know what I mean? Every fight you see isn't going to be the greatest fight you've ever seen. And every fight you fight can't be the greatest fight you've ever fought. You won, you're in a great position. Heal up, get your shit together, and we'll get you back in there. And, you can erase everybody's memories of people thought that was whatever people thought of it. Yep.
Dana, right here
Yeah.
in the front, a few questions for you. I know you don't like to make fights, so I'm not going to ask you about a specific fight, but how you did just say that you don't want Ian to go to Dublin next. I mean,
I do want Ian to go to Dublin, just not next.
not next.
Madison Square Garden, he's got to go.
Okay,
first.
that was the question I was going to ask you. I mean, Irish guy, Madison Square
100%.
Garden.
You
Is that like a done deal? You get him there?
There's a blueprint for this shit,
Yeah.
and we got it. So
you just talked about Sean O'Malley saying how pro the crowd was with him. I don't remember the last time I saw a crowd be that one-sided for a guy who wasn't their hometown since probably Conor versus Dennis Siver right here.
it's true.
We always talk about who could be the next Conor, Ronda Rousey, Brock Lesnar. What about beyond that? Do you see someone on the roster, possibly Sean O'Malley after they could actually surpass that stardom of like a Conor and Ronda and all those?
Well, it's not about surpassing them. It's about who's next and how. And, when Conor McGregor, exploded onto the scene, he ignited Europe and other parts of the world. And now, like Sean O'Malley coming into Boston, everywhere I went, yesterday and today, everywhere, and I'm sure you guys experience this too, hair, shirts, the whole deal. I mean, everybody was wearing O'Malley stuff. And you saw the reaction when he won tonight, how the place just erupted. And when you think about this, I say it every fucking Tuesday. The Contender Series is the best show on television. The Contender Series is incredible. Now we have 2 world champions from the Contender Series and multiple, up and coming stars coming off that show. And if me and my crew, Hunter, the matchmakers, we're sitting at the office. It's fucking 4:57. We jump in the car and we drive over the Apex every Tuesday and literally watch the baddest fights that you could possibly see. And most of the media guys that are here do it too. I love the Contender, and the Contender is really this streamline to the world championship right now. It's awesome.
I think that's a perfect transition to my next question. Obviously, the Contender Series is continuing to build stars. Probably the biggest star since Sean O'Malley, in my opinion, is probably Bo Nickel. I mean, he's got that buzz around him. He said he's going to take some time off. Any idea when we could see him back in action?
100%. No, but yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, yeah, Bo Nickel, Macy Barber. I mean, Hill. I mean, so many people have come off that show. The list goes on and on. Kevin Holland. I think the last year it started, and then this year from episode 1, and now the second one we just did. This thing's trending worldwide now. We do fights on Tuesday nights; they trend worldwide on social media. So, so before these guys ever set foot in the UFC, millions of people have seen them fight on the Contender Series. It's awesome.
And Dana, my last question.
And you know what's crazy? I'll tell you this too. So when I first started the Contender Series, right? So we used to take the numbers. We would judge guys by the numbers that they pulled. We had all the numbers written down on the wall in there on numbers that they pulled. How many millions of people watched the fight, and O'Malley was from day one number 1.
And my last question. Obviously, we just wrapped up the newest season, Ultimate Fighter. The finale was absolutely fantastic. But what was your overall thoughts of the entire show in general?
Yeah, it was a good season. I mean, since the Spike days when we first blew up and we're pulling massive numbers and things like that, the attention and the promotion that ESPN has given this season of The Ultimate Fighter has been incredible. So, yeah, it was good. Especially, like I said, when you have a finale. When's the last time an Ultimate Fighter finale was the fight of the night on a card like this in a city like this? So,
Dana, to your
Yeah,
right
pretty
here.
awesome. Yeah.
What do you think should be next for Aljamain Sterling? Going into the fight week, he was talking about potentially going up to 140.
That's probably what he'll do. I don't know. Has he been in here yet?
No.
Yeah. Yeah, ask him. But if you're asking me right now, I'll bet he's going to say, I'm going to move up.
Okay. Yeah. If he were to want, say, like an immediate rematch or something like that, he was a very successful champion.
Not even thinking about that right now.
Okay. And we also had Michael Chandler here as a guest. He was saying that he kind of expects the fight with Conor to go down in December. I wonder if there's any update on that now that the tough season is.
He just asked me that too. I'd say next year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we also had Tatiana Suarez as a guest. She wants the next shot. Could we be looking at her?
Who said that?
Tatiana Suarez.
Oh yeah. No, she looked good. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, she's a little badass too.
Thank you.
Fun
Then
fight.
here-
Yeah,
you're-
buddy.
You're right. You mentioned, you want one more for Ian, probably MSG in November. But can you kind of confirm that next year, all going well, there will be a return to Dublin?
We shook hands. I guaranteed him. We
Uh,
made a deal.
So you mentioned this Conor fight may be happening next year. Why not December? Is that completely off the table at this stage? Like,
No.
Is the USADA thing a problem?
Oh, you're talking about Connor?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were asking me if we would go to Ireland first if it's off the table. It's not off the table. And anything's possible, but I don't know. I can't. You're asking me questions I don't have the answers to. Why not December? Who the fuck knows? I don't know. We'll see how this thing plays out.
But one more as well. Your two sponsors with Prime, KSI and Logan, getting back in the ring. Are you going to watch their fights? And what do you think?
Who?
KSI and Logan Paul.
Oh, they're fighting again?
They're back. Like they're fighting on the same card.
Oh yeah. Okay. Listen, I like Logan. I like Logan a lot. Great kid. Who in this room thinks that's a great fight?
He's fighting.
Raise your hands, please, if him and Dylan Dennis is a great fight. I know he's fighting. Nobody? Not one guy?
Dan, a question over here, kind of a hypothetical. Obviously, Sean is a big draw here. He's from Montana. There's a big fan base from him in Montana. Any chance ever in history there might be a card in the Treasure State?
Well, I love Montana. I love that state. I never say never, but we're not thinking about it right now.
Dana, over here.
Yeah.
Any update on light heavyweight title, Yuri Prochaska and Alex Pereira? Yuri is healthy and ready to fight.
Are they ready to fight?
Yeah. I mean, do you know when, maybe?
I do not. If I did, we would have announced it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Dana
Yeah.
over here. Sorry. I have to ask for the people in Ecuador. Do you think Michael Morales will fight again this year? And if so, can you tell us when?
I have no idea.
Thank you
Dana,
very
back
much.
here.
You know I've been here too long when these are the fucking questions you're asking me now. Hey, when this guy's gonna fight, what about that guy? What do you got?
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
So I talked to the great John Anik, and he thinks the Patriots are not going to go to the Super Bowl. Are we ready to reprimand him, or what do you think about
That's just fucking rude.
that?
John Anik, are you crazy? I would love to see them go to the Super Bowl again, but I say it all the time. Over the last 20 years, the Patriots have given us so much joy and happiness. You know what I mean? We can take a little rebuilding time if we need to, but shame on you, John Anik.
So, question for me. Obviously, you brought up the Contender Series and Sugar Sean O'Malley coming from that system and making his way up to the championship. But there are so many different promotions like Ring of Combat with the great Lou Negale, who I work for, and also like Titan FC and a bunch of different feeder systems. Like, is there any like talent that you have your eye on, or somebody that you're going to be inviting to the Contender Series that you have high hopes for, or anybody?
Well, we're in the second week. We got 8 more weeks left of the Contender Series.
Fair enough, sir.
So, yes. We've picked every fighter in the first 2 episodes. We haven't even, we picked every fighter that's fought on the last 2 episodes. So, listen, I love Tuesdays. It's my favorite time of the week. I love that show, and I'm excited for the next 8 weeks. And, there's tons of talent coming through.
You got an eye for talent. I have to admit that. But
thank you.
nevertheless, is there anybody on this card that popped out? Like Ian Gary was amazing, and is there anybody that like popped out for you on the card that really stood out for you that you're gonna move up, or
Well,
anybody?
I would say the entire undercard looked incredible. I mean, as you got into the main card, there are a lot of fights that people were highly anticipating. But, when you talk about Gibson and Katana, unbelievable fight. When you talk about Silva, there was just so many great fights on the Rodriguez. I mean, the undercard was incredible.
Fair enough. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Hey, Dana,
Right here,
just a
buddy.
quick one. Any update on if you guys are coming back to Atlantic City this year? I know that was rumored for December.
I don't know.
Good enough.
I
for me?
hope
Thank
so.
You hope so? You said.
I hope so. Yeah.
Thank you, Dana.
All right, buddy.
Dana, right here down the middle.
Yeah.
We spoke to Ian Gary earlier in the week, and he said that he was surprised that fellow Irishman Paul Hughes hasn't been signed to the UFC. Is Paul Hughes on your radar at all?
Do you know how many guys are surprised that their guys they're friends with haven't been signed to the UFC yet? I hear that every day. But you know, with the Contender Series going on right now, and with the amount of fights that we put on right now, the other thing that's happened is we've had. It's been a while since the injury bug has fucking terrorized us like it has over the last few months. So if he is somebody that is that good and that we're interested in, Sean and Mick will find him and bring him in here.
And Conor McGregor was tweeting after Kurt Hallball's win that he wants to see him rematch Lee Hammond from this season of The Ultimate Fighter. Is Lee Hammond potentially going to get a second shot at the UFC?
I don't know. We'll see.
And last one for me. You said this event broke the bantamweight title fight pay-per-view record.
Yeah.
Do you have a current estimate on that number?
I do, but that belongs to ESPN, so I don't give that out anymore. But yeah, it crushed the record for the bantamweight championship. Yeah, this thing broke tons of records. The gate, the pay-per-view, social media was massive too. And now that he won, it's probably going to be even bigger. And I guarantee we're going to do an economic study on Boston. You know, the economic impact that we had on this city had to be massive too, for not a Celtics or Bruins game or Patriots game. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Thank you, Dan.
Big night.
Hey,
Big
Dan,
night.
how are you? To your left. Now, given O'Malley's meteoric rise, right? You know, Snoop Dogg at the Contender Series, there have been a lot of people saying that he was going to be a champion really early on in his career. Was there a moment where you knew that he would be a future champion, or you first thought that?
Well, I think people thought that for a long time, and then he got a lot of criticism after the Cheeto Vera fight. You can never tell in this sport, man. You never know how. Listen to me. Don't fucking lie to me. How many people thought he was going to win tonight? Raise your hand. No, go ahead. Raise your hand. Don't be shy. One guy? Two guys? No? Yeah? You? How many reporters are in here tonight, Lene? Huh? There's 70 reporters in this room right now. One guy raised his hand that thought Sean O'Malley was going to win tonight, right? Who the fuck knows? This sport is crazy. I mean, anything can happen on any given night. And it happened tonight. You know, most of you that follow the sport and are educated in the sport said what everybody said. How does he not get taken down and absolutely destroyed on the ground? How does he stop the takedown? Maybe he'll stop it a few times, but this goes, the longer this thing goes and the more he defends the takedown, he's going to be in big trouble. And here we are in this room now talking about how Sean O'Malley is the champion. So you don't ever really, let's talk about Bo Nickel that he brought up the other day, a couple minutes ago. He was great. Unbelievable. Once you crack that top five, very few people make it into the top five, right? It's a whole nother ball game when you're in the top five. So 69 reporters in here said no. One guy raised his hand and said yes. What the fuck do I know?
You talked about wanting to do an economic study, and this weekend, especially in Boston, it seemed like a lot of green hair and a lot of country hats for that Morgan Wallen concert, right? Given the impact that Sean had, have you seen something like that around a city that one fighter can have so many people? You know,
not since the rise of Conor McGregor. Yeah, not since the rise of Conor McGregor and Ronda too. Ronda, when Ronda started to really take off, Ronda had that buzz too. Chuck Liddell.
Given how well it did in Boston, would you consider coming back anytime in the near future? I know that COVID really impacted things, but
anytime I get an excuse to come back to Boston, I'm coming. Believe me. Like I say, when we go to all these cities, and you know, listen, we've been selling out since you could put people back in the arena again. And there's so many places that we haven't been. Tonight, when we do these events, we have lots of sponsors and other people here. So people were hitting me up tonight. When are you coming back to Chicago? When are you coming back here? When are you coming back there? So, so many cities that we got to get back to. But I love this city. I love the Encore. I love the food in the North End. I mean, it's just, I love the steak tips out in South Boston. I'll get back here as many times as I possibly can.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. You guys done with me?
So done it.
Oh, one more? Yeah.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
This is from China, Migu. Currently, Wei Li and Lem's fight attract over 1.9 billion views in China's social media. So, however, consider bring the UFC back to China this year.
That makes me very happy, sir. I'm happy to hear that. And the answer is yes.
Do you know when?
I do not. As soon as possible.
So you see Wei Li, from 2018 when she got into the UFC, and now she improved herself very well. Who do you think the next challenger for her?
I don't know.
If this game,
We're working on that right now. She's up next. She'll be in here. I think you should ask her who she wants to fight. She's the queen. She's the champ. She's a beast. She could do whatever she wants. So talk to her. Cool.
Thank you.
Good? All right. She's up next. Have a good night, boys.
Whaley, congratulations.
Thank you.
On the victory. Pretty flawless performance. You set a lot of records. I think even Dana said you broke Valentina's record for significant strikes in a title fight. So physically, how are you feeling? And emotionally, how are you feeling after that defense?
就是你今天打破了那个打击数差别的记录，舍甫琴科保持那记录。那你对于打破这个记录，你现在感觉怎么样？然后自己有什么想法？
我感觉超越了自己，因为我觉得人生最大的敌人就是自己。我每天都是在不断的让自己变得更好。
Yeah, I think I don't really care about the record, but the only thing I concern is to surpass myself. The only challenge or opponent to me is myself. What are we gonna do every day is, am I the Zhang Weili better than who I was yesterday?
She herself, obviously, she absorbed a lot of strikes, and Dana said like she showed toughness in there, but she did throw up a lot of submissions, especially in the first and near the end. Were any of those chokes close or tight at all?
拉莫斯打得很强硬，他也挨了很多打，但是他仍然坚持了5回合。那么第一个回合的时候，他有一个对你的降服尝试，你觉得那个降服尝试拿得深吗？对你造成了威胁吗？
那个不太深，我的那个脖子没在里面，只是拿到了头。
Yeah, the submission attempt in the first one is not that deep. So my neck, she didn't really get my neck, so it's not that dangerous to me.
拿到了，然后我也没有着急，我就觉得没问题。
So there is no panic to me. So I just to be calm and try to escape from that situation.
Were you surprised that she was able to absorb so many blows and continue fighting?
你有想到她那么抗揍吗？
哇，没想到，太顽强了！我的天哪，她是真的非常非常顽强，非常值得尊重。
Yeah, she's unbelievable tough. Yeah, I respect her.
好几次我都看到她眼睛都闭上了，但是她真的又挺过来了。
Yeah, there are so many moments during the fight. I felt her. She just almost out, but yeah, she just get through this.
Dana White was in here, and we asked him who he thinks you should fight next, and he said we should ask you who you want to fight next. So, who would you like to fight next?
他刚问大拿说：“那你下场会打谁呢？”大拿说：“应该问你，你是冠军，你说了算。那你想打谁？”
打蜜糖吧。
Sean O'Malley. How about this?
I think you got it. When would you like to fight next? I guess is there a date or time? Because it's been a while since we had last seen you fight. How active do you want to be over the next year?
下场比赛想什么时候打呢？有什么想法吗？
我现在因为我从3月份就从家里出来了，一直到现在已经有很长时间没回家了。然后我先想回家休息休息，看看自己的父母，然后再决定下一场比赛什么时候打。
Yeah, I started my training camp this time since March, so I have left my home for a couple months for such a long time. So the only thing in my mind right now is just return to home together with my family.
Tatiana Suarez was here. She wants the next title shot. Wonder what are your thoughts on her, and do you feel like she deserves the next shot?
您作为挑战者，那你觉得他行吗？他配得上挑战你吗？
他挺厉害的，他没有败绩，然后他全胜，我觉得他也是一个非常有竞争的对手。
Yeah, she's good. She's undefeated. She's very good fighter. Yeah, I think she can be a potential challenger for the next.
The belt a few times. They start looking up, and they hope to maybe get a second belt. Is that something that you ever consider moving up a weight class and challenging for a second belt?
那很多选手当卫冕了几次自己这个级别的冠军之后，会想拿到第二个腰带，就是升重。那这是你会考虑的一件事儿吗？
我也其实有考虑，然后让我们看一看接下来的125会发生什么吧。
Yeah. So that was what I was thinking about. Just move up to flyweight division. But so just let's see what happens next in the 125 division.
And the belt will be disputed next month. Who do you have in the rematch between Alexa Grasso and Valentina Shevchenko?
那说到125，那下个月，格拉索就跟舍甫琴科打2番战，那你怎么看这场比赛？
我觉得在场上看谁发挥的更好，看谁的战术更好。
Yeah, let's just see who has the better performance, who has better execution, who has the better game plan in the octagon.
And when you talk about like potentially moving up to 125, do you see that in the near future or in the future, like far down the line?
所以，那你说考虑过升重，那你觉得这个升重的计划是可能会在比较近的时间段内发生的，还是相对来说一个不太成型的，还是一个遥远的计划？
我觉得一切都皆有可能。
Everything is possible.
And lastly, you has said Sean O'Malley. Just curious, what do you think of his afro, the colors, and all that?
Could you repeat the question?
His hair. What does she think about Sean O'Malley's hair?
哦，你刚刚说想打蜜糖，你觉得这蜜糖的头发怎么样？颜色、发型？
头发非常的好看，非常漂亮。
Oh, very beautiful. Yeah, I like it.
Whaley, right here.
Yeah.
Dana was in there earlier. Was asked about you fighting in China. He said, yeah, for sure, he wants that to happen soon. How big would a fight between you and fellow countrywoman Yan Xinan be in China?
刚刚大拿也说过，你可能想过在中国打一场大比赛，然后呢，那你觉得如果在中国比赛，然后又有可能是你打你的同胞严小南，那你觉得那会是一场很大的比赛吗？
我现在没想过，我现在只是想着先好好休息，然后接下来再看接下来要发生什么。
It's not a thing I'm thinking right now. The only thing in my mind right now, just have a break, have some rest, and then let's see what happens for the next.
I'm over here.
Hello.
Congratulations on the win. So as far as crowd reception is concerned, Boston gave you a huge reception. Everybody was very, very happy when you won, and also during the weigh-ins, they were all cheering you. How did it feel to get such a great reception from the Boston crowd?
整个这一周啊，波士顿的人都太爱你了，太支持你了。从新闻发布会、称重仪式到今天的比赛，所有人都在喊你的名字。那你觉着波士顿的观众，你有什么想对他们说的吗？
哇，天哪！
对这座城市，
我太爱这儿看过一次比赛，然后我当时就说，哎呀，我想来波士顿比赛。然后4年以后来这儿比赛的时候，就直接告诉我波士顿有比赛，我就特别开心，然后就来到这儿比赛。然后结果来到这儿，我也没有想到，就是所有的粉丝观众对那么热情，真的超乎我的想象。我感觉就像我的主场一样。
Yeah, Boston is amazing. I love this city so much. You know, in 2019, I've been here to watch an event, and I like here. So then, from that time, I was just thinking, okay, maybe one day I can fight in the Boston. So when UFC told me, how about we fight in Boston for this fight, I just said, okay, let's do it. And it's kind of a dream come true. And it's unbelievable that the people in the city, the audience in this arena tonight is, they just gave me massive energy.
我觉得再打5个回合我都也不累。
I definitely can fight 5 more rounds.
Awesome. This is my last question. So fighting Yan, obviously it's China versus China. She's 3rd ranked. Would you want to have that fight in China? Obviously, it's going to be a much hyped, much anticipated fight between two top contenders in China, or would you don't care where it happens? You don't care if it's in front of China, if it's here. Like where would you want the fight to take place?
那如果你下一场可能的对决是对现在排第3的严小楠2个中国的女孩来争夺这个腰带，那你是更希望这场比赛在中国发生呢，还是在哪儿打都无所谓？
我觉得地点什么都无所谓，然后就看怎么接下来一场跟谁打吧。我觉得。
Yeah, I think it doesn't matter where we fight, but just let's see who I fight for the next.
Correct. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Okay, thank you.
What's up, guys?
Hello, Aljo. Thank you, first of all, for coming back to talk to us. I know it can't necessarily be easy. You've had a few minutes now to think about it. Just talk us through the emotions right now. Losing the belt, losing it to a guy like Sean O'Malley. How are you feeling, and how do you think the fight went?
It definitely sucks. I mean, I'm not gonna lie about that. There was a lot coming into this fight. You know, the quick turnaround, everything. But I was happy to do it. No excuses. Sean, hey, he did a good job of the one thing I knew he would be good at, and is that step back counter. And yeah, it's just a good shot, man. I felt like I saw something else. I stepped in. He capitalized on the one mistake that I made, and I paid for it. I mean, I felt like the fight could have still kept going, to be honest. I thought I rolled over to try to come back up, and I mean, as soon as he stepped in, I was fine. But it was just one of those things. Can't be mad at the ref. It is what it is, man. Losing sucks. It always does. Especially losing to him. But honestly, he's a good fighter, man. A lot of the things I said coming into this fight, I said I respect his skills. I know what he's good at. I know what my strengths are, and he was able to capitalize on that tonight. And I've been here before, man. I mean, a lot worse though, with Marlon Moraes, and I was able to bounce back and put together a pretty good streak to even get the belt. You know, so it's just one of those things. Life goes on, and it's whatever you decide to make of it. You know, it's just one of those things, and I'm gonna remember this night for a very long time, and it's gonna fuel me for just bigger and greater things.
Yeah, you mentioned that he caught you with the one thing, and you were very good at giving him credit before this fight, probably even more than some of the onlookers and pundits and stuff. Was he in there, was he as good as you were expecting, or in ways was he a little bit better than you were expecting? Was he doing things that you're like, oh, he's better at that range than I thought, or anything like that?
He was better than what I thought in his footwork. And that was one of the things I try to get guys to emulate because I knew that is a hard thing to do because I do it myself when I go side to side. But it's different when someone else is doing it to you and you're like, I can't track this motherfucker down. I tracked him down a couple of times, but then he would spin out at the last second when I think I threw a side kick and he was able to pivot out beautifully. He did a couple of things really, really well. I mean, I would have liked to have gotten it down to the ground to really see how good he is down there. But like I said, the one thing I knew, we were doing a good job of throwing that overhand right into the takedown. He threw the front kick, and right after I was like, okay, I think I got his timing. I threw the left hand, and as I was coming down, he stepped back. He hit a beautiful counter right, and it was a counter right. I think it was a counter right, and it was clean, man. It was clean, and I knew I was okay, but it was one of those things. You're rolling around on the ground. The ref doesn't really know how bad you really hurt. I know the ref hasn't really seen me in that position before, so it's kind of hard to kind of give the benefit of the doubt. Definitely think it could have gone a little bit more, but yeah, credit where credit is due, man. Sean did a great job. He stayed disciplined, man. I didn't want the fight to be boring. I could have sat on the outside and just kept playing the leg kick game, but then I would have had all the criticisms of everybody else, and I was like, see, this is the difference. He stayed disciplined to his game plan, and I kind of let I don't want to say emotions, but I kind of let trying to be a little bit more of an exciting style for the fans play a factor. We've seen the Izzy Yoel Romero fight. We've seen bad fights before where it's kind of like not much happens because no one wants to make that grave mistake. I made the mistake. Sean capitalized. I paid for it.
You mentioned there that you felt the fight could have kept going because the referee didn't know how hurt you were or weren't hurt. How hurt were you after the right hand?
I thought it was fine. I mean, as soon as it rolled over, it came over to me. I was like, dude, I'm good. I mean, they asked me a question. I forgot what state we were fighting in. I will say that. That wasn't like, oh, he hit me so hard. I forgot. I was like, I legitimately just forgot where we were. And
where did you think we were?
I was like, we're not in Vegas. Like it was like coming to Boston, but not really one of those places that we really fight at often. So I wasn't really. I was like, I know we're not in Vegas, but I didn't want to give him an answer, and then he's gonna be like, oh no, you were fucked up, bro. You were really fucked. And then he asked me what year is it. I was like 2023, bro. I was like, I'm telling you, I'm fine. I just really don't remember that we came to Massachusetts because it's not a state that you say all the time. Well, whatever. Yeah.
What's next for you, Aljo? You said in the cage very thoughtfully that, look, if he's catching me like that, 45ers could do some damage too. You want to go home and reflect. I'm sure you're not able to give an answer tonight. But when you look at this, and like you said, you came from the Rise lockout to come back and win a title. I'm sure that's the motivation to do so again. But do you do that at 35 or do you do it at 45?
That's one of the things we gotta talk about. I mean, I would love to have a rematch. I just feel like even that first round, like, what did you guys think? What did you guys score that first round?
I thought it was very close.
I thought it was very close too, but I didn't know which way it was going towards. I mean, I know I landed a bunch of leg kicks. He landed a one cross to the body, and I got him on the cage at the end. I think I landed like 3 punches to the face, maybe, and that was like the round. It wasn't very eventful, but I felt like we were both trying to establish our rhythm and our range. So I wasn't sure like which way the fight was really going into that second round.
I would agree. I think it was one of those rounds that they were going to score it either way,
Yeah, so I don't know. I would like to see what the judges scored it. That would be interesting. But yeah, I don't know which way I'm going to go with things. Like I said, I would first and foremost love an opportunity to run that back and just to get some definitive answers. And maybe I could do, I don't want to say a better job because I feel like the guys I trained with were phenomenal, but maybe make it more intentful to have guys that are giving me that look going side to side. So I do a better job of preparing for that because that ultimately was the one thing I was concerned with. And it was the one thing that he did a great job with neutralizing my forward pressure where I was like, you know what, let's play Matador. And I was trying to lull him in so that I could spin him to the cage, but he didn't really play the game. So it's just one of those things, a couple of tactical things I think I need to look at. And I think it's a very winnable fight. I think he's good at what he does. I'm good at what I do.
So, Aljo, would you say an immediate rematch is what you would like the most?
That is 100% what I would like the most. And it's not saying like Sean doesn't deserve to beat me. Like he could go out there and beat me again. And I think it just strengthens his case that he's as good as he says he is. But I think I've earned I would like to think that I've earned my right to get an immediate rematch.
Yeah. And if you can clarify to people, because everybody says, oh, he's huge for bantamweight, and obviously you are, but how hard are these weight cuts? Like, can you continue to fight at 135? No problem. I mean, you've made championship weight all the time, so.
I mean, I could. Do I really want to? Not really. I wish we would just do like cage side weigh-ins like an hour or 30 minutes before, because guys won't cut the weight that we cut. It just would be impossible. And I think you would start seeing more people fighting up 2 weight classes. I truly do believe that. The same thing like wrestling and jiu-jitsu tournaments. You just can't compete when you're getting hit in the head, like severely dehydrated. It just wouldn't happen. I think guys would be smart enough to not do such a crazy thing, but I can still make the weight. It's just a lot harder, and it's a longer duration of dragging out that weight cut and trying to shrink incrementally all the way until fight week until I step on the scale.
And you had been very open about the August 19th date being a concern, that you didn't know if your body was going to be ready. You told us at media day that you felt 100%, but that's obviously pre-fight. Now that it's done, did you enter the fight 100%? Did the immediate or the quick turnaround affect your performance, you think, in any way?
I'm not gonna do that to Sean. I'm not TJ. I'm not gonna do that. I felt like I had a pretty damn good training camp. I think it's just the one thing that we probably left. I thought we left no stones unturned. That was the one thing we left unturned was the footwork. But we thought we did a good job of it, but we didn't really simulate it as well as I thought we did. And you know, I felt good. I'll leave it at that. I felt good. No excuses, man. I truly did feel like it was my night, and I made one mistake, and I paid for it.
Thank you.
Alger in the front right here. All 3 judges actually had you winning the first round 10-9.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice to actually win a close round. I feel like whenever it's a close round, I don't get it. Like I don't get the round scored for me. But that's cool to hear because it makes me feel like the work we were doing in the first round, now it actually like it gives me a little bit more clarity going forward so that I know what type of tactical approach I want to take. Because Sean is not a guy you can fight just going forward because he won't give you the opportunity to just sit and set his feet. He doesn't do that. And that is one of the things I've been saying about him for a very long time. He has really good footwork and he has a really good 1-2 and a good step back counter. And he does it well from both stances. Me, I take you down. I think it's relatively known what I do on the ground. So he was able to implement his game plan and cause me to make the mistake. And congrats to him. He's a world champion now. He can actually solidify. I don't want to say solidify himself, but he can actually credit where credit is due. You know, it's one thing to kind of get catapulted into that without actually proving yourself, but he proved it tonight, and he did something that a lot of guys couldn't have done to me in a very long time, and I think that's worth something to note.
Kind of going off of that, a lot of the narrative after media day was, or your last few media days, is you were one of the few champions that says, like, I could lose, because a lot of these champions they come in confident, they say, well, I'm going to beat this guy and then move on to this. But you've always been like, I might lose, like Sean might become a superstar after he fights me. So why has that always been your mindset, and why do you think other champions kind of don't carry that same mindset?
I don't know. I don't know what makes them tick. I know for me, if you keep it real with yourself, and I think it helps you make the dangers a little bit more real when you actually face reality that you can actually lose. When you go in there, it's a fist fight, man. It's not we're sparring with shin pads on, bigger gloves, 16 ounces, headgear. No. This is shin bone on forearms, on your legs, the side of your head. 4-ounce gloves, pretty much bare knuckle, as close to bare knuckle as it gets. It's a tough sport. So to pretend that you are this invincible thing, I think is a little bit of a disservice. I think it helps me stay humble and it helps me work harder because I know there's always that possibility that this guy can have his night. And like I said, I was like, it has to be a cold night in Boston for this man to beat me. And that's kind of how I'm feeling right now. It's been a cold week, this entire week out here in Boston. That should have been the foreshadowing right there. Like, hey, man, something's up. Let's try to tighten some things up before we step into that octagon. But I think it's just a good mindset to have going in, that there is a possibility you could lose, but how can you make sure you line everything up and give yourself the best opportunity to win?
Last one for me. They cut to you during Chris's fight. They would show you in the back. Was it hard watching that fight?
Not hard. I mean, the hard part was obviously his leg and seeing him get kicked to the leg over and over. Like that was the hard part because I'm just thinking about health after he's done fighting. And it's always tough to see stuff like that. And I know Brad because I trained down there at Extreme Couture. Um, he's a cool dude. And I'm just glad both those guys came out as healthy as they possibly could. And hopefully Chris's legs aren't as severely beat up as it looked, because that's unfortunate. I think the guys had like 25 or 26 surgeries, bro, and that's a lot. So hopefully he has a speedy recovery, and that's my guy, man. He's always been Captain America to me, someone I always looked up to. He just felt like he was always invincible, doing things that were unthinkable and made it all possible. Like to see him doing that, kind of around my age group, not really, but kind of.
Aljamain, up to your right. Speaking of your teammates and your coach Ray and Al and Marab, I mean, what you put together in this title run was spectacular. I know it's hard to process that now after a loss, but I mean, it was cementing yourself as one of the best bantamweights in UFC history, and it was really the title run that put you on another level. In terms of your team, I mean, you must be very proud of what you guys have accomplished. Obviously, you're not done yet, but what you've accomplished so far.
Definitely proud of everything, man. Glass half full. Like I get choked up when I talk about this. Like I I don't come from the best household, so just being able to find inspiration in other people and kind of carving out your own path. That's the one thing I love about the sport. It's allowed me to do things my way, and man, I life is good. I got my family. I got my beautiful fiance. I don't want to cry on fucking camera, man. It's the things that matter the most in life. The competition is okay, but this has really helped change my life. Like I know the UFC gets a lot of shit from like the fighters and stuff, but if it wasn't for them, man, I wouldn't have the life that I live today. And I told Dana that even at the weigh-ins yesterday, and Hunter, like if it wasn't for them, like half the things I've done in this sport wouldn't be possible. And the things I've been able to do for my family, bought my mom a house, doing a little real estate. I own 3 houses now. I'm set in terms of financial means. This is just icing on the cake. And I took a shot. I took a shot trying to come back and trying to do something unthinkable and making a dream into a reality. And I fell short, but it happens. So I'm super proud of everything I've done. No one can I'm bulletproof, man. Like no one can shake me mentally. No one but myself. So that's one of the things I would never get down on myself about. I've truly earned everything I've gotten, and that's the most important. And I just wish people would take other people's journeys and like, yeah, I play the heel and everything. Like, it's all a game to me. Like, it's like I like having fun. It's a good time. I'm from Long Island. We break balls. We like to just have a good laugh. But at the end of the day, chase your dreams, man. Because life is short. I'm 34 now. I started this game when I was 20 years old. I thought I was gonna be the next youngest champion. Next to John Jones, came up short. And what a ride it's been, and knowing that door is gonna close one day, it scares me a little bit. So I just try to make the most of every single opportunity I can.
Jermaine, over here. Over here. So can you see the positive?
Cut the onions.
You're okay, man. We all love you. Can you see the positives as far as what you have done as far as your championship reign? You fought top tier talent. You broke box office records. You did amazing things. Can we see the positives as far as your championship reign? As far as like everything you have done so far?
Yeah, I'm a glass half full kind of guy. I mean, even in this, I think most people would probably be really down on himself, especially you lose to a guy like that who freaking 6'9" tattoos and shit like that. You're just like, how the hell? But glass half full, man. Life is good. It could always be worse. There's someone out there who's complaining about things that I have that they don't have, and I think that helps me keep things in perspective. That it can someone else out there always has it worse than we do, and I think that's the fortunate thing. Like you guys are all in here doing something that you enjoy doing. I hope, and being able to go to events and watch great shows like this, it's nothing short of a privilege that we have in this country. So I'm super proud of everything I've accomplished, everything I've done, and I do hope for to add a little bit more to my. I hate like using the word legacy because it's such a weird term. I feel like I feel weird saying it out loud, but just more to my resume and everything I've accomplished in the sport. I'm grateful. Yeah, I'm down right now, but it's not down to the point where I'm gonna be like hiding from fans and shit like that. I don't care about that. Like people's words can't hurt me. The only thing that can hurt me is the ones that are closest to me, and that's my loved ones. So at the end of the day, dust myself off, get back on the horse. I've done it before, and just go again.
You train under the mighty Ray Longo, Matt Serra, and you have teammates like Angry Al and also Marab.
Angry Al.
Yeah, Angry Al. What advice did they give you? Because they've been through the process, obviously, and they had the highest of highs, lowest of lows. What advice did they give you, especially after this?
Uh, well, we haven't really. I don't think we really actually talked like that yet. Just yet. Just it's the fight game. We get caught. And I don't want to say I got caught because I feel like that's kind of taken away from Sean. He studied. He did what he planned to do. If I gave him that opening, and he took it. So it's not really like getting caught. He landed a great place shot, and I made a mistake, and he capitalized on it. I think that's just the game we play. It's a game of inches. I could have gotten to the leg, and that could have changed things. And maybe it's him in here on the sadder side of things. So it's all just keeping in perspective. We've all been here before. We felt what it felt like to lose, to be knocked out, to be finished in front of millions. It ain't easy, man, putting your heart on the sleeve for the world to watch and judge and criticize. But this is the game we play. This is the game I love. And I'll be glad to come out here and do it again.
Thank you.
Right here. Just one quick question for you. Yeah, you come into Boston, New York, and coming to Boston is never going to be popular. Add in that you're fighting an Irish guy in a really popular Irish neighborhood. Does the crowd ever get to you? I know you say, you like to play the heel, but I mean, you're still a human. I mean, when most of the crowd is cheering for him, does that get to you a little bit?
Nah, I mean, I think it makes it fun. There's a good guy and a bad guy. I don't know why I'm the bad guy, but I'm the bad guy. So it's like you just embrace it, have fun with it. I mean, it's kind of like a WWE kind of thing. I think we've all kind of grew up watching that. There's always someone you love to cheer for, someone you love to hate, and I think that's what makes it fun. Um, I don't really look too much into that. I use the booze to kind of fuel me, and God, I could have made that a boring fight, and just wouldn't. I probably wouldn't be here right now. But it is what it is. Yeah. No, it's a short answer. No, the booze don't bother me. If anything, I'm glad the crowd actually has a reaction, and it's different when they see me in the street. Oh, we love you. And then when I walk out to the arena, it's boo. This man sucks. And I enjoy it. I embrace the moment. At the end of the day, one day there's no one gonna be booing. There's no one gonna be cheering. It'll just be me, hopefully cheering for my kids on the sideline, being a happy dad. So uh, I think that's what life's all about, man. Just taking the time out to smell the roses, and I'm definitely gonna be sure to do that after this tough training camp, back to back, and take some much needed vacation time with my fiance. She's done with nursing school, and we both just moved to Vegas. I think it's time we go hang out, go celebrate with some Funk Harbor tonight. It's not really a celebration, but just other accomplishments. And I'll be in Sydney, Australia, to go watch the fights. Just be able to kick my feet back, unwind a little bit, and be like you guys. Just hang out, watch fights, talk a little shit, and drink a couple adult beverages. Thank you, guys.
Sean, earlier this week, you were saying that it kind of did feel like your story needed to see you win this title on Saturday, but you still had to go in there and beat Aljamain Sterling. You did that. I'm curious now that you have the belt in front of you, if it feels like it was meant to be or if it feels a little bit surreal.
Yeah, it definitely feels surreal. Feels like I'm living in I'm playing a video game and I just got cheat codes and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna knock out Aljo on the second Saturday, and it's just like, it's crazy.
You thought it would be the second?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people kept telling me that I have a weird feeling it's gonna be in the second. I had that feeling. I don't know if I ever said that out loud, but I was like, I feel like it could be I feel like that fight could have kind of played out how I expected it to. My main goal was to not let him take me down, and I knew if I could keep it on the feet, I would knock him out.
He was in here earlier praising your movement, your side-to-side movement, your ability to spin away from the kick when he would go for it against the cage. Did you kind of feel that if he got through the first round without being able to get you in the clinch or down, the second round he'd come out more aggressive and a bit more frustrated?
Yeah, I thought the longer the fight stayed on the feet, the better chance I had of knocking him out. I knew it would get him frustrated, him not being able to grab me. I thought he was way too confident that he was going to be able to come in and just grab me. I don't know if he's ever sparred someone as good as I am or fought someone as good as I am. I truly believe I'm, a level above most people in the striking department. And I just felt like he was very confident because he had never experienced. It wasn't his fault. He just never experienced someone that fast in front of him.
When you landed the right hand that put him down, did you think, and that's a wrap, or did you think, okay, hold on, stay composed, get this finished properly?
It's so weird. I just kind of allow myself to be taken over by my higher self, and it's hard to remember certain moments in there because I feel like I'm just flowing. I do remember seeing his eyes roll back like 3 or 4 times, and I was surprised the ref didn't step in. Not that he should have, but I thought he could have. But I was just so tough, man.
You said quite honestly that you'd never had nerves like it, right? Well, do
Yeah.
you think that was just because, oh shit, the title shot is finally here, or was it Aljamain's style? What was it about it that made tonight a nerve-wracking experience?
Dude, I haven't grappled in 6 weeks. I had a muscle strain, and I literally couldn't grapple in 6 weeks. Couldn't MMA spar. I was the main event in Boston. There was no shot I was pulling out, but we haven't grappled in 6 weeks. 6 weeks from the date from today, I hurt my I had a muscle strain right under my rib, and I couldn't grapple. And so coming into this fight, fighting Aljo, every time I did interviews and I was saying it's life or death, I cannot get taken down. It was because I didn't know if this would hold up, and it's fucking sore right now. And I don't know if it was from a kick or just from the little bit of scramble or the little bit of grappling we did, but it's definitely like it's not super painful, but I definitely feel it. So dealing with those mental demons coming into this fight, knowing I was injured ish, like I literally, we didn't grapple one day in the last 6 weeks, didn't grapple at all fight week, and I kept saying in every interview, it's life or death if he takes me down. And I was kind of referring to that, but I wasn't going to come out and say I'm injured.
So to know that you went in the cage with the nerves and came out with that belt, you must have a sort of sense of, I can pretty much do anything if I really put my mind to it.
Yeah, crazy sense of relief that it's just like, holy shit, I got through that. I didn't get taken down, and it's like I knew the odds. I knew I was capable of it 100%. I've had really good sparring days before that where I was really good at not getting taken down. So I knew I was capable of it, but I'm like the odds of me not getting taken down once in 25 minutes aren't very high, especially against such a good grappler. So the fact that it just played out like that is just mind blowing.
You pretty much called your shot next, right? You want a rematch with Chita Vera later this year?
Yeah, I thought, let's shoot a promo, but we'll see. He just the way he acts, he's so annoying. Just like he's not funny, and he tries to be. He's so ugly. He dresses like an idiot. It's like, God, do I really have to give this guy an opportunity? But I'm like, well, I'll probably just go out there and whoop his ass, make a lot of money, so I could. So yeah, that could be it. I also wouldn't mind knocking out Gervonta Davis, and I know people are gonna go, oh, you want to be Connor? I'm telling you, that fight is gonna happen.
Stick to MMA. Should you beat Cheeto, would you need to do a trilogy, or would you consider that 2-0?
No, it would be 1-0. I feel like we've never even fought. I'm not, when I count my record of 18-0 now, that's not even, that Cheeto fight is not even on there. That's not even it's nothing. The Sugar State Athletic Commission completely cleared that of everything, and that fight never even happened.
Aljamain Sterling said he wanted to do an immediate rematch. That's his main priority.
Thought he's going up to 45. These weight cuts are too hard.
No, he says he'd like to fight.
Next question.
And as far as Chito, obviously you guys have history, but how big do you think that fight can be? Because I mean, it seems that it can set itself up for a big pay-per-view.
Yeah, this was already what I'm being told is the biggest bantamweight fight in history. This already happened. It was the biggest fight before the fight even happened. I was hearing this, days before the fight. This was projected to be the biggest bantamweight fight of all time. You guys think it was because Aljo was on there? Aljo versus Henry happened a couple months ago. No one said nothing about that. So me versus Cheeto rematch would be fucking massive.
Yeah. How much do you think that belt's gonna help you boost your profile and stardom? What do you think the ceiling is here?
Oh God, I think billionaire status someday. Now I feel like I want to be out there gambling with Dana. This dude's throwing around a couple $250,000 just for shits and giggles.
And back to your comments on Gervonta Davis. Boxing, we're talking about your.
Well, of
serious.
course.
You wanna cross over and box him.
I would love to. He's fucking this tall, dude. I would love to go out there and box him.
You've seen him in person, right? You guys have had interactions.
I've never seen him in person.
Oh, okay.
No.
Yeah. How far do you see that happening? In the near future?
I mean, I feel like it could happen sooner than later. But I also know, okay, UFC is down to get behind stuff like that if it's big enough. I mean, with that performance, we're getting close. But maybe I have to go out there, win a couple more fights, win another belt. I don't know if he's even considered a big enough star for the UFC to let that happen. but it'll happen. And people always, I mean, I said this was gonna happen years ago, and I got so much shit saying I was gonna be the champ. I'm gonna be the next big star. I'm gonna be this. I'm gonna be that. I got so much hate and shit for it, but look at me now.
Yeah. Lassie, are you getting any tattoos to sort
I
of?
might get champ on my face somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sean, I'm curious. How did you think the first round went in terms of?
I dominated that first round. He didn't touch me. I ran into a door earlier this week. That's why my nose is red. I was water loading because fight week, you get a water load, drink so much water. So I was getting up to pee in the middle of the night. Boom, ran right into a door. So that's why my face is a little bit red. But no, he threw a lot of leg kicks. A lot of them were just shin to shin. So I'm like, I mean, they didn't really do much as far as like he shouldn't. I don't know. What do you guys think? My goal is don't take me down in the first round. I'm gonna knock you out.
So the judges all three scored it for him, 10-9.
What they score the second round?
And I'm sure you're going to get this comparison all the time, but DC even brought up the split screen of your KO next to Connor's KO with Aldo because it was the same cross
Yeah.
and lunging in. So are you prepared for even more comparisons with Conor McGregor?
Yeah, I mean, Connor's a high level striker. I'm a high level striker. I was even like when I was in the octagon and he was making his walkout, boom. I'm sure people will find the replays of it. I was stepping back, throwing that right hand the exact same way it landed. I say you make one mistake with me and I'm going to find your chin and it could be over. And it was.
And outside of Cheeto, are there any other bantamweights that even interest you in terms of like that? Like you see that like that could be a very big fight on like a massive level.
Gervonta.
And Sean, over here to your right. You were probably warming up for your fight. Did you see Cheeto's fight tonight? Did you watch any of it?
Hell no. I'm not going to waste my time watching that. No, I was in the back. I looked up about 15 seconds out of the whole fight. I don't really like watching fights before my fight. I did. I looked up to see that he won. I was like, okay, yeah, fuck it. This is perfect. But how was it? Was it entertaining? Was it fun? Was it a Cheeto fight?
Pretty technical, close.
Boring. Okay.
Also, I guess there's obviously since you've come into the UFC, everybody's had an opinion about you. How good is he? When you get in there and you do something like you did tonight, I mean, does that meet your expectations? Do you even sometimes exceed your own expectations?
Yeah, I definitely just exceeded my expectations. Like to go out there and actually do it like that, it's fucking crazy. But there's still gonna be the haters on Twitter. There's still gonna be the bantamweights that are, yeah. But before I fought Peter, I was like, this can't beat Peter. It's Peter Yan. You can't beat him. Fighting Aljo. I had like I don't know the odds, but I can't bet I wasn't a favorite in this fight going into it. Everyone was counting me out, and then I go out there and do that. I could fight whoever next. And it's going to be like, yeah, but so this is just how it is.
Sean, just to build off of that, like you said, you were a big underdog. Dana asked the entire room out of 70 people who picked, only one guy over there picked you. Everyone else picked against you.
Is that a Montana fella?
That said, obviously, the experts were against you. The betting odds were against you. What's your response to the people who doubted you?
It makes me laugh. Not because I mean, to be honest, if I wasn't me and I was looking at me versus Aljo, I probably would have put money on Aljo too. Like he beat Peter Yan once. He beat T.J. Dillashaw. He beat Henry Cejudo. Dude's on a 9-fight win streak. He was dominating the bantamweight division, the best bantamweight of all time. Defended the belt 3 times, and then I'm coming up. My best win was against Peter Yan in a very, very close fight. I mean, the odds, I would have probably bet against me too if I didn't know me and know the confidence that I possess.
That said, on the flip side, when you look down in the arena, walking on the streets, I mean, it seemed like everybody was walking around with a Sugar Show shirt or some kind of thing supporting you. What do you have to say to these? Like, you have this cult following of people. What do you got to say to those fans?
I know the Bantamweight Championship merch is already going fucking crazy right now. It's crazy that I remember I was at Conor Habib, or no, I was at some fight and I was sitting in the stands like pretty high up in T-Mobile, and it was right when I got in the UFC. I think it was after I fought Soccer Mom, and I was like, there's gonna be a time where I literally can't even walk into this arena without security. And now just looking out in being the main event, seeing everyone wearing the Sugar merch is fucking wild.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Sean, so I wanted to go back to when you walked into the octagon because, right, you got to that top step, embraced the crowd, took a lap or two around, and we were literally watching you practice that step back counter right
Mm.
hand. Was that something that you visualized as a fight ender, or something that you could really take advantage of?
I mean, punching backwards is a skill not a lot of people possess, and I can punch going backwards. And I knew he was going to be pressuring me, and I know he likes to throw to shoot. He likes to throw to for me to counter so we can shoot under. So I knew he was going to be lunging in with shots, and it really wasn't even a bad punch that he threw. It's just I'm not fucking accurate and sniped him. I've been saying it all week. I'm a sniper. I'm gonna snipe his chin. I'm gonna find it. And there we were. But yeah, that's definitely a punch I visualized all week.
You talked about the feeling of relief, right? Once the fight was called off, what were the first thoughts through your head, and what were you thinking? What was that feeling like?
Is this real? Am I gonna fucking wake up in my hotel bed, be pissed off that what this isn't real? Like, was this really fucking happening right now? Did that really just happen the way I pictured it and planned it to happen? Am I in a fucking movie? And I was like, no, this is real.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Sean, you're right. We talked earlier this week about Helena coming from a smaller town and how it kind of molded you. So when you look back at where that career started, fighting in like hotel conference rooms, some different places, fighting 3 times in a month, to where you are now with that belt, just how can you describe this journey and where you've come from to get to this point?
Yeah, it definitely wasn't an overnight. This has been 12 years. I started kickboxing when I was 16 years old. And then, in Montana, and moved to Phoenix when I was 18, and it's been 2 days. Like I've dedicated my life to this sport. I know you guys see the hair, the beautiful pink Lamborghini, the houses and all the fun stuff. But I'm working, I'm grinding, I'm in the gym. I'm losing, I'm getting beat every single day, so I can come out here and win. And but being from Montana, it molded me for sure.
Does that grind make this more special? Just knowing that it wasn't an unorthodox.
100%. It wouldn't feel like this if I just got lucky. I don't feel like I got lucky. This is skill and hard work.
Just looking at the timeline, a lot of folks in Montana holding watch parties at bars, places like that.
Hell
What
yeah.
do you say to those folks back home?
I hope they were recording it because I want to fucking watch.
And then just last question for me, just, in that moment with your family and their big hugs for everybody all around, they all get to celebrate. Just how can you even describe that moment?
Yeah, I'm glad they got, good seats right there and were able to be in the octagon with me after. It's a moment I've been thinking about for a long time, and to see the shock on their face, like holy shit, he did it. Like it was really cool to be able to embrace that with them.
Thanks, Sean.
Right
Congratulations.
here, Sean. Congrats, champ.
Thank you.
One question for me. In your humble opinion, are you going to be on SportsCenter Top 10 tomorrow morning?
Da-na. Yes.
Sean over here. Congratulations on the win. So obviously coming from Montana, that's a big fight state. I mean, you got Kai Stewart who won the BKFC championship.
Next question.
Oh,
That kid sucks.
oh, fair enough.
He's in my DMs talking shit. I'm like, what? I don't even know this kid.
But nevertheless, as far as that's concerned, how did the people respond in Montana from your victory?
Yeah, I'm sure they're pumped. I've had probably 20 fights in Montana as an amateur boxing, kickboxing, MMA. I fought literally multiple times a month for a couple of years, and I got a lot of experience and a lot of confidence from those fights.
And how you feel being that next marquee name? Obviously, everyone brought up Conor McGregor and everything like that. You have 3 million followers on Instagram. Obviously, you're a very, very marketable gentleman. But how does it feel to be that next poster child for the UFC, that next poster kid, and obviously that next marquee name?
Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. That's what that means. Feels good. I've been telling. You can go watch my interview before the Contender Series, before I was even in the UFC. I said, watch. This is gonna happen. Literally, basically explained how my career is gonna play out in a couple sentences. Here we are.
Congratulations on the
Thank
win.
you.
You're right. What is it about Gervonta Davis in particular that winds you up so much?
He's the. I mean, I don't really follow boxing, but I've heard of Gervonta Davis, and I think he's undefeated. I'm about to pay. I want to have crazy, massive fights. That shit gets me excited. I love that stuff. And there's no stars in the bantamweight division. Gervonta, you could consider him like almost a star, and that's what gets me excited. Me versus Gervonta would be fucking massive. T-Mobile or here, fuck it.
A lot of the celebrities in the crowd tonight as well. Obviously, you have the Nelk boys, Mike, May, like all these different people. I mean, it seems like the stars are out in force for you as well.
Yeah, I'm good buddies with Mike and the Nelk boys, and they're probably out waiting for me to come slam some happy dads right now. Boom. Fuck yeah. Thank you guys.